ladies and gentlemen. The Oshkosh Area Community Band, under the direction of David Burnt, opened this evening's concert with Thundercrest, a sparkling march from the pen of Eric Osterling. Mr. Osterling was a school band director in Connecticut, where he wrote that march in 1964. Cindy Hopkins, your usual announcer, is on concert tour in Europe with chamber singers, and so I'll be your announcer tonight. My name is Terry Hathaway. Our next piece is a composition entitled Arlington, Where Giants Lie Sleeping. The composer, Paul Murtha, writes, "It is a tribute to the generations of American servicemen and women buried at Arlington National Cemetery near Washington, D.C. Their selfless service and sacrifice in the defense of our country and their way of life has made them all giants in my mind, as they find their final rest in Arlington." The same sentiments hold true when we think of the Wisconsin veterans that lie buried in the ground at the Central Wisconsin Veterans Memorial Cemetery, found on the grounds of the Wisconsin Veterans Home in Kane. The community band played a concert there on June 9th. Wisconsin's first state veterans cemetery opened in June of 1888 with the burial of a Civil War veteran. In addition to veterans from the Civil War, this cemetery is the final resting place for veterans of the Indian Wars, Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Persian Gulf War, as well as peacetime veterans. More than 6,669 veterans and their dependents have been buried in this cemetery since its inception. There are other sections of cemeteries where we find veterans also buried. So we dedicate this performance of Arlington to these giants who lie sleeping wherever they may be. occasion known for John Philip Sousa's writing this charming and colorful march titled The Picador. All things Spanish were in at the time, and the march appeared in sheet music edition with a stylized picture of a picador, the mounted pikeman who sticks the bull in the shoulder with a weapon that draws blood and weakens the bull before the matador confronts the dazed animal. Sousa was particularly fond of horses, and by extension other animals. He had never seen a bullfight when he wrote this march, nor read much about them. He had been more familiar with the subject matter of this march. Had he been more familiar with the subject matter of this march, he doubtless would have named it something else. Several years later, he traveled to Mexico and witnessed his first and only bullfight. He was shocked. The grisly reality underlying this title was unknown to the composer when he wrote it. Ironically, this march is one of the most lighthearted and charming of all Sousa's composition, the Picador. Please welcome to the stage one of our associate conductors, John Bastian, who will lead the band in the next two pieces. As Summer Was Just Beginning, subtitled song for James Dean, was written in memory of the actor who died in a car crash in 1955, composed by Larry Dan. In the summer of 1994, the title is a translation of a Greek inscription that appears on a bronze bust of Dean by the artist Kenneth Kendall and refers to the tragedy of the actor's death at such an early age. According to the composer, a James Dean enthusiast, the main melody is loosely based on an old British Isles folk song, "The winter is past and the summer is here at last," recalling Dean's Irish, English, and Scottish heritage. John. Henry Fillmore is best known as a prolific composer and arranger of music for wind band. Paul Byerly, noted Sousa and Fillmore scholar, documents 256 original compositions in the Fillmore catalog. His free spirit and love of fun music is evident across the majority of these works, and accordingly, his best marches are notable for their intense energy, bravado, and technical challenge. His best known works include American Zwee, the Circus Bee, the Crosley March, the Footlifter, His Honor, the Klaxon, Laz's Trombone, Military Escort, and under the pseudonym of Harold Bennett, he wrote Rolling Thunder and Shoutin' Liza Trombone. Laz's trombone was the most popular of Fillmore's trombone family of ragtime schmears. He wrote a total of 15 works in this style, including Ham Trombone, Miss Trombone, Dusty Trombone, and the aforementioned Shoutin' Liza Trombone. However, Laz's trombone was Fillmore's favorite, and it has become for many others. John Philip Sousa was also a great fan of the composition, and he programmed it on nearly every concert during his last tours. When asked about the origination of the title, Laz's, Henry attributed it to one of his favorite foods, molasses on bread. We will now feature our trombone section on Laz's trombone. And I know most of you haven't experienced this, but if you've ever sat in front of a trombone section and have those slides zipping past your ears, it really catches your attention. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo is a novelty song written in 1948 by Al Hoffman, Mac David, and Jerry Livingston. Introduced in the 1950s film Cinderella. The song is about a fairy godmother transforming an orange pumpkin into a white carriage, 4 brown mice into white horses, and a gray horse into a white-haired coachman, and a brown dog into a white-haired footman. The song was nominated for the Academy Award Best Original Song in 1951. Please sing along with us when directed. If you don't remember all the words, most of you will at least remember Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. It's so much fun to say. Say I'm too young to remember all those words, and that's why I couldn't get them, but that won't work. So, Man of La Mancha is a 1965 musical with a book by Dale Wasserman, lyrics by Joe Darian, and music by Mitch Lee. It tells the story of a mad King Don Quixote, Don Quixote, I don't know how Cindy always gets this right, as a play within a play, performed by Cervantes and his fellow prisoners as he awaits a hearing of the Spanish Inquisition. The original 1965 Broadway production won 5 Tony Awards, including Best Musical. The musical has been revived 4 times on Broadway and becoming one of the most enduring works of the musical theater. Paul and Leo Fergut were very active in Oshkosh Community Theater, participating in and producing many shows on this very stage at the Grand Opera House. In 1967, they traveled to New York City with their sons and fell in love with the Man of La Mancha. A few years later, they produced this remarkable musical with the Oshkosh Community Players here at the Grand. Throughout his life, Paul collected Don Quixote figurines to reflect his great passion for this character and the idealism he represented. Years later, in 1986, Paul and Leo were asked to produce the opening production of the restored Grand Opera House, The Bohemian Girl, which was performed in October of that year. A few short months later, the Oshkosh Area Community Band began rehearsals and included several members of the pit orchestra from The Bohemian Girl, including me. Including Diane Fergut and their daughter-in-law and founding member of the band who is on stage tonight. They attended the very first concert of the Oshkosh Area Community Band in the spring of 1987 and were loyal supporters for over 30 years. They both passed in the last few years, and we dedicate this performance of Man La Mancha, their favorite musical, to their memory as we remember their contributions and support. the 1960s, and Burt Bacharach and Al David were giant songwriters in the pop music field. Enjoy this medley of Do You Know the Way to San Jose, made famous by Dionne Warwick in 1968. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, from the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which was a #1 hit for B.J. Thomas in 1970, and also won an Academy Award for Best Song. And This Guy's in Love with You, which was sung and played by Herb Alpert and became his first #1 hit in 1968. Burt Bacharach wrote the music and Hal David penned the lyrics. This is the Burt Bacharach and David medley. 1954 by Bob Merrill for American singer Rosemary Clooney. The song became a hit for Clooney, reaching number 10 in the Billboard Hot 100. Merrill reportedly wrote it under a recording deadline, and according to Wikipedia, scribbling hastily on a paper napkin in an Italian restaurant in New York City, and then using the wall payphone to dictate the melody, rhythm, and lyrics to the studio pianist under the watchful eye of the conductor Mitch Miller of the Sing Along with Mitch fame, who produced the original record. Merrill's song provides an obvious, maybe I'm putting my own personal alignment. Merrill's song provides an obvious parody of genuine mambo music, cashing in on the 1954 mambo craze in New York, while at the same time allowing Miller to set up a brilliant vehicle for Clooney's vocal talents. Several other artists have recorded this song, including Dean Martin. Mambo Italian away. Take her away. Please welcome John Bastian back to the podium for the next selection. Just a little side note on this one, this isn't written in the announcements. I really always liked this number. It's called Themes Like Old Times. I always enjoyed this number. I enjoyed directing it. And it was written by, or arranged by, Warren Barker, who was one of my favorite arrangers for us in the community band. We even, some of you may recall back maybe 2 decades ago now, that we commissioned Warren Barker to write a piece for us for our 10th anniversary concert. So here's a clever arrangement that is perfect for concerts in the park. Songs included are Irving Berlin's Alexander's Ragtime Band, Alfred Bryan and Fred Fisher's Peg of My Heart, that was one of my dad's favorites, Harry Von Teisler and William Dillon's I Want a Girl Just Like the Girl That Married Dear Old Dad, Gus Edwards and Edward Madden's By the Light of the Silvery Moon, Hugh Day Bowman's 12th Street Rag, and it's expertly arranged for concert band by Warren Barker. Here is Themes Like Old Times. John. next Wednesday, June 26th, at the Kimball Auditorium. The Dixieland Band will play at 6:45 and the Community Band will play at 7 p.m. We also wish to thank Jay Counters, stage manager, the folks at the Grand for hosting us, our sponsors who keep the bills paid, and you, our audience, who keep us playing by giving us someone to play for. Now, John Philip Sousa's love for musical theater gave birth to 15 original operettas. One of the 15 was not more successful than his 1895 collaboration with librettist Charles Klein and lyricist Tom Frost, entitled El Capitan. Sousa saw the opportunity to create a new march by borrowing several tunes from the operetta and skillfully stitching them together into a new work. For the first strain, he selected You See Me from Act 1. The second strain was based on the second act, Behold El Capitan, sung by the chorus. The trio featured music from the grand finale of the operetta, We Beg Your Kind Consideration. The march was completed on April 30th, 1896, just 2 weeks after the Boston premiere of the operetta, and it quickly became a regular part of the band Sousa repertoire. Area Community Band, thank you for a wonderful performance tonight. We want to thank you for coming and hope you have safe travels home. As much as I've enjoyed being able to help out tonight, I'm looking forward to Cindy coming back and doing this. Although I can bring a little bit of comic relief once in a while, I guess. So, such as, why don't dinosaurs talk? because they're all dead. So thank you, have a good evening. We hope to see you next week at the dinner.